Chapter 16. Sales objections arises from sales bad personality. Quote, blanket objection is not very reasonable to me. Any effort to control scientific advances is doomed to fail. By Joseph Murray. He was an American plastic surgeon who performed the first successful human kidney transplant. Allow me to jumpstart the chapter with a searching question. Alright. Have you heard about why a rookie salesperson suffer from poor sales? My educated guess is you haven't. On the hindsight, what I am about to tell you should solve the mystery. What I am about to expose in this chapter may sound familiar to some of you. Although it's hard to believe at first sight. Yet you must trust me that what I am about to highlight will uncover any shadow of doubts. True. Jokes aside. Believe it or not, historically, salespeople have not been regarded positively. In the public imagination, the stereotypical salesperson is slick, deceitful, and immoral. They'll do anything to make a sale even if it means lying to a buyer's face. Today, the vast majority of salespeople do not fit this description. Instead of shoving products down their prospects' throats, they strive to enable positive outcomes and provide valuable guidance. A far cry from the used car salesman of old. However, according to psychological research, a handful of subconscious and seemingly innocent behaviors can also damage a person's likability. Although these 7 bad habits seem innocuous, they could actually turn off prospect poor clients. If you don't seem to jive well with your clients as your prospects do, one of these bad habits could be to blame. Below are the following bad or unhealthy habits. Bad habits number 1. Using the word honestly recklessly. The word honestly is increasingly becoming a verbal tic that all professionals say from time to time. But while it might be the equivalent of or to you, it comes off very differently to your audience. Honest people don't generally call attention to their honesty. If a sales representative peppers their pitch with, to be honest, and honestly, the prospect might actually start to mistrust and dislike them. Not to mention that the phrase raises questions about assertions not preceded by, to be honest. Does that mean everything you've said before was a lie? When are you being honest, and when aren't you? Habits number 2. Being too giving. In recent years, a wide variety of sales experts and influencers have proposed replacing the mantra, always be closing, with something more fitting for modern selling. Always be serving, always be helping, always be consulting, etc. No matter what version you go with, the message is clear: giving is good. Except when it's not. A well-known university's research found that study participants who played a game extremely unselfishly were regarded with suspicion by their fellow players. While being accommodating is great, being overly accommodating is not. Bending over backwards to please a client might actually make them dislike you instead. To avoid crossing into doormat territory, ask for something in return each time you grant a prospect's special request or give them something outside the normal scope of service. Bad habits number 3. Inability to practice disproportionate favors to certain prospects. Make no mistakes, most B2B buying processes now involve multiple stakeholders. That means reps don't just have to get on one person's good side, they have to endear themselves to 5 or 6 executives at a time. While it seems like a given that salespeople should strive to foster an equally strong relationship with all relevant stakeholders, this might actually cause the team to turn against the rep. This isn't to say a salesperson should become best friends with 2 stakeholders and snub the rest. Reps should form bonds with everyone on a buying panel. However, if certain ties are tighter than others, that's more than acceptable. It might actually be better for your overall likability. Bad habits number 4. Refusal to take no for an answer. Almost everyone in sales knows the importance of persistence. However, there is a fine line between persistence and stalking. While you shouldn't drop your efforts after the first no, it is critical to recognize that you won't gain anything by pressuring people. In many cases, the reason someone says no is because they don't see the value in your product, service, or because they are not a highly qualified prospect. Again, sometimes the most ordinary words can cause the most damage. If a representative is actively pursuing a client, they should believe the prospect would benefit from their product or service. But although this is apparent to the salesperson, it might be anything but to the buyer. Bad habits number 5. Posting a too close close-up. This is undoubtedly the strangest entry on the list. In a study, participants were asked to describe their feelings about a person based on 2 headshots, one taken 7 feet away, and one taken 2 feet away. The result: participants judged the person in the overly close picture to be untrustworthy and less attractive than the exact same person photographed 7 feet away. Lesson: don't post a selfie for your social media profile pictures unless you used a selfie stick to take it. Bad habits number 6. Not listening. Salespeople can sometimes get so caught up in their thoughts about a sale that they mentally drift off when their prospects are talking. And after repeating this habit several times, they become masters at responding like they're listening while actually zoning out or multitasking. Although some prospects might not sense the salesperson's mental distance, others will, and their perception of the salesperson will sour instantly. Although it might be tempting to jot off an email or respond to a social media comment when on the phone, the prospect will like you much more if you give your undivided attention to the conversation. Bad habits number 7. Self-promoting. Salespeople walk a thin line when they talk about their companies. On the one hand, they want to assure prospects that their business would be in good hands. But boasting too much about their amazing service can get annoying fast. To earn prospects' trust, they must like you first. Don't come off as the swindling, easy-to-hate salesperson. Stay away from these behaviors, and watch your likability soar. All in all, this chapter's on the poor behavior of a salesperson which attracts sales objections from prospects may be boiled down to many issues. As said earlier, the importance good behaviors cannot be overrated. Hence, unless and until a salesperson redeem his unwanted behaviors, there is little or no chance that his or his success in selling will improve. Period. To recap the types of sales individuals nasty conducts, here are a selected few. These are only some pressing ones. It does includes the following habit like the overuse of the word, honestly, being too giving, inability to practice disproportionate favors to certain prospects, refusal to take no for an answer, posting a too close close-up, not listening, and lastly self-promoting. Logically, this chapter would be incomplete if no mention is made of the lessons we can learn about the unwanted traits of poor salesmanship. Seriously, we must admit if there are such nasty attributes within us, we must completely get rid them, not all of them all at once but gradually. Possible. You bet it is. As a parting gift to you, hear us an interesting quote by Julian Baggini. He is a philosopher, journalist, and the author of over 20 books about philosophy written for a general audience. He says, "If you believe you are right, then you should believe that you can make the case that you're right. This requires you to deal with serious objections properly." End of chapter.